Is it your mother? Where is she? Did she die? Good.
Hey everybody, I'm John.
I'm Justin.
And we're the
Gore Goblins.
Gore Goblins.
Yay.
Yeah, where we talk about horror movies.
Something we like.
That's our show.
Some we don't.
Listen, our intros are just
Nah.
nothing anymore. I don't know what happens in them anymore.
We gotta keep parts of the classic alive.
We gotta keep it. We watch movies we like. We watch movies we don't like, and we watch movies that are very strange, which is.
I mean, strange is kind of an
A
understatement.
very big understatement. So
This movie is, it's not a movie you just watch. Like
you feel it. It
yeah,
really makes you feel like you're
you
crazy.
experience this thing, and this is not a movie for everyone.
No, it's not.
I can guarantee 90% of the people that watch this turned it off like within the first 10 minutes.
Would you have been one of those people if you didn't have to talk about it on a show, Justin?
At this point, the way my mind is, no.
Okay.
Cause I was like, what the fuck is this the entire time? But it kept like drawing me in, and the just the whole everything that it makes you feel while watching it, like just like dreaded, disgusted. You just want to punch that doctor in the face so bad. Like
Okay. So I should say before we get any further, the film we're talking about is Beyond the Black Rainbow. This was a suggestion
it was the wheel.
for you. Well, yeah, but we added
Oh.
it to the list. So this is a suggestion for me personally. Kale suggested it to me. Friend of the show, Kale. Everybody loves him. He's great.
He's been on.
He'll be back for Evil Dead Rise, maybe. I don't know. When we went to go see Mandy at Alamo Drafthouse, that was the first time I went to that location. I remember thinking, "Oh my God, this movie's fucking insane." Nicolas Cage. It's Cheddar Goblin. You know, Mandy. We're gonna talk about it one day because it's a fantastic movie that has a lot of the atmosphere that Justin was just describing, but it's more story driven. Beyond the Black Rainbow was suggested to me by Kale after we watched that movie. But he told me it's really weird, and I didn't watch it for years until it came up on the list because I added it to the list at Kale's suggestion. That was one of the movies that he suggested to us, and then it finally got picked, and I'm glad I could finally watch it. That's the whole reason I wanted to start this show with Justin, was so that way I could have an excuse to watch horror movies that have been on my backlog for years.
That and so we could rant about Halloween.
Yes, exactly. That was the other big thing. We specifically started with Halloween because of that. But this movie it's hard, like it's horror, but not in like a traditional sense. First of all, this movie was written and directed by Panos Cosmatos, whose father directed such hits as Rambo 3 and Tombstone, actually.
Huh.
George P. Cosmatos, I believe, is his name. And he directed Tombstone. He directed Rambo 3. He wrote a few movies, I think. I can't remember. I looked it up a little while ago. But this movie, so we're going to talk about it, but there's not really a plot. There's just a sequence of scenes.
I mean, according to some of the 10-page reviews that I read on the Amazon thing, it's like there's a plot buried in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You just got to be willing to sit there and think about it, or watch the movie like 30 times in a row like one dude did.
Yeah, so what I was going to suggest that we do on the show here is we talk about our own personal interpretations of it, because, and there might be some things we don't have an explanation for, which I think is the point. I know that this movie's been described as a Reagan-era fever dream, and it definitely feels like a fucking fever dream.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Reagan-era fever dream that I believe is an homage to like a bunch of like classic 80s cult horror specifically. And the genesis of this came from Panos Cosmatos when he was a kid, would go into, mom and pop video stores, and he would go to the horror section because he liked the art on the VHS tapes, but he could never rent them because, he's a little kid. So he would just imagine, based on the artwork on the box, he would imagine what the plot would be.
That's
And
what I would do.
And this is kind of an amalgamation of those things. That's why you have that really weird turn at the end of the movie where it kind of turns into a slasher movie for 2 seconds. Very strange. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. But this movie is very visual. It's very atmospheric. Like Justin said, it makes you feel a lot of different things. I think the most prevailing thing is dread. You definitely, and part of that is
You feel trapped, like
Yes.
she does too.
Yes, that is another thing. One thing I love about this movie, though, is the soundtrack. The sound design in general, but the soundtrack is that it's so fucking synthy and punchy, and it is fucking perfect for me. It's that type of shit that I really like, and that kind of like makes it almost feel like a Carpenter movie, or just of that era, and it feels like a movie that would have come out in 1983. But like it would have been buried in the back of the video store. It would have been a movie that was straight to video that you never fucking heard of, that you've never seen, and that you'll probably never see outside of that format until maybe Vinegar Syndrome picks it up and releases it like they do nowadays. But this movie is it took me, like, when I first watched it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like I didn't know how I felt about it, but the more I thought about it, I remember I texted Kale a bit and I talked with him about it, and then I talked to my buddy Corbin who's a big fan of Mandy. And I talked to him about how I felt about it. I haven't talked to my therapist yet. That's tomorrow. But I talked about it with a few different people, and like the more I thought about it, the more I liked it, because the more I realized what it was going for, and the more I realized, like, the more, like, some of the images you see in this movie are so like haunting that I think my brain didn't really know how to process it initially. So it took a little bit for my brain to be like, oh fuck, remember that though? That shit was cool. And then I'm like, yeah, it was cool. Like that flashback where it's like fucking bright white and only like the dark colors are visible, like of their eyes and shit. That part where he's crawling out of the black pit. Like, that's one of the coolest fucking shots I've ever seen in a movie ever, dude. That shot is so sick. I love that shot so much. Also, I need to mention, when he goes into this black pit, he experiences the worst fucking acid trip that I've ever seen in my life. That shit is insane. Oh my god. Like the more I think about it, the more I just like love this movie. It's so out there, and it's so weird, and it's a movie that I feel like kind of like grabs you by the throat and just kind of like shakes you for a little bit.
It doesn't shake you; it holds on to you and is like, you're not getting out till this is done.
Until you're done. So so that's why I wanted to do for the show, because there's a plot somewhere. I'm sure there's, but again, that 10-page review you probably read was that dude's own personal interpretation. I will say up front that this movie is definitely a movie that was made for Panos Cosmatos and for him only. It's a movie that you can tell is very close to him. It very much feels like he made it for himself and nobody else, and that's cool. I love it when directors do that, and they're just kind of sharing it with us. And if we dig it, cool. If we don't, cool. It's still, whatever we get out of it is whatever we get out of it. That's something David Lynch always talks about. Like after Eraserhead, when he would be read negative reviews, he's like, that's a good interpretation of it. If that's what you take away from it, that's what you take away from it. And that's okay. And I think that's, so like, even if you hated the movie, I was going to say, okay, that's cool, because it still made you feel something, And this is like the type of movie that I talk about all the time, where like it's more about how it makes you feel than about anything else. And I feel like it was successful for both of us in terms of making us feel something.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about personal interpretations first. So I'm very curious to hear what your personal interpretation is, Justin. So I'll let you go first.
Well, it mostly just made me feel like being stuck in a place you didn't want to be, and just everything that does to your brain. Like, the entire time I was seeing it, I was just thinking about, man, this is like what I felt in school that I could never put into words. Like,
wow.
This is ridiculous. And it's like, parts of me were like bored, but the other part was like, where's this going? Like, I can't escape the stupid background sound, but it's not bothering me enough that I want to turn it off.
Yeah.
And then like all the weird shit starts happening. Like, there's that part where the nurse is like flipping through that little book and with the anatomy and shit.
Yeah, with
and I was
the
like,
anatomy stuff.
what the fuck is this? and then what's her name? Alice or
Lena.
Lena? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where she fucking does her psychic shit and pops her head.
Yeah,
Like-
she does something to her.
Something.
She just says, "Please stop," and then just and like he was controlling that white
Yeah, he
pyramid,
turned that
right?
on after she did that to, I guess, to like fuck with her or something.
I think that white pyramid controls her in some way, or it like dampens her powers. Maybe I don't know. It's very weird. It leaves a lot up to you to figure out.
But then part of me was like, well, why doesn't she just do that to him through the glass? And I was like, wait, that's not the point. Even though the very basic description Amazon has for the movie is like a young girl with powers tries to escape her captors, and it was like,
And that's all you need to know.
that's all you need to know. But that's not the entire point of this
No,
movie.
it's not. No, not even a little bit.
Like, I can't even remember parts because I was sitting there thinking too much. And I mean, I was already
that.
having like nightmares every night, so like this kind of probably just increased it because even when I take like a 10-minute nap, I have a nightmare now.
Well,
Well, that's probably stress related, but it
happens.
Anyways.
Yeah, I feel that.
it just even being in my own room with the lights on while watching this, like carefree drinking, I was like, God, something is wrong. Like something is gonna happen to me. I keep watching this.
It feels like a cursed videotape that you find and you put in, and
That's
then
what
like
my girlfriend was saying. It was like, oh, you need to turn this off. There's like some subliminal shit in this. It's like some fucking Illuminati crap going on. And it's like, I was like, I think that's the point. I don't know. Let's just keep going.
Another thing I want to say real quick is I really like the aesthetic of like the facility that she's in. Like it's really like brutalist, but like also like future tech, but it's like that retro future tech that I like from like Alien and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like I really liked that too, and I think that kind of like adds to the feeling trapped shit. I guess
Yeah.
it's very cool.
And all the scenes, all like the shots of their faces are so close up. Like you feel like you can't get away.
Yeah, dude.
And I hated that was when it did close-ups on the doctor and he's talking to Lena. And he's just sitting there like breathing so weird and like licking his lips.
And it's like
dude, are you trying to like fuck with her with your mind or like fucking? I don't know what he
it's
was doing
with that ASMR line delivery where it's real soft spoken and like it makes you feel gross, like you want to crawl out of your fucking skin.
Like
Yeah.
every time he talks, a worm comes out of his mouth or something.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, yeah. So what do you think? Do you like have any idea what anything meant though? Like, what do you think it all meant outside of just making you feel miserable?
Man, I don't even know. Like I'm still thinking about it. Like
Yeah.
I have not come to a conclusion yet.
So like that initial premise on the Amazon thing, like yeah, that's like very like base level stuff because like the movie starts out with like that like advertisement for like I guess the facility she's staying at.
Yeah, for the
I don't remember the name of it, but it was like, oh, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and this is my facility. And you see the doctor later, and my man is fried because he's a fucking heroin addict. But and then that's when you get the flashback for what's his name? Billy, not Billy.
Barry.
Barry, that's his name. And so, like, I want to give my interpretation real quick of, like, how it made me feel, because like the thing that Justin talks about where like the camera zooms in and stuff and like the droning and everything, like yeah, that's all very like it does make you feel trapped, like 100%. I'd like to like I don't like I tried to think of like what it all meant, but again I don't think I'm supposed to. Like I feel like if I like figure it out, I'm gonna die. Like I'll know some cursed knowledge that like will have the FBI after me or something. But from what I can gather, I'm just gonna give like my idea of what it is. From what I can gather, this dude Barry, he joined this facility for whatever reason, and again they don't explain what they do or anything like that.
nope.
And you find this out midway through the movie in like this expository flashback where everything is like brutally white, like very bright. The only thing you can see is like the dark colors of their hair and their eyes, and like the faint outlines of their face and bodies. It's very like it's a very striking visual to see, and then they basically tell him, "All right, go into this fucking pile of black goop that looks like some shit out of Super Mario Sunshine, and you'll be all right." And so then he submerges himself, and like there's this lady doctor there that like you can tell he has like some kind of a fixation on, but you don't know what kind of a fixation it is. And then he goes under this thing, and he experiences, like I said, probably the worst acid trip you probably could. Like his face is like melting upwards into the sky, and it just looks like he's in hell. Like it looks like he just goes to hell basically, and he fucking loses his goddamn mind in there. He comes out, and he's like completely black when he comes out. Another really cool visual. And like I said, it's that shot of like just this black pool in this white like expanse, and he's just and his silhouette's just crawling out of it, and it's such a cool shot. And it just made me feel so uncomfortable, especially when he goes up to this lady doctor and he like fucking rips her throat out with his teeth. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on? And then the owner of the facility walks in, and he's like, "Oh, fuck. What happened?" And he's like, "Well, that's too bad." So then he like takes I'm presuming his daughter. I'm presuming that this lady doctor was his wife, and this was like their daughter. So he dips her in the black goop, and then it goes back to present day. And what I'm imagining is that she grew up in this facility, and she's been trapped her whole fucking life, and she has powers from this black pool that she got. And this dude's been just as fixated on her as he was on her mother. And so, like, he's been trying to, like, figure her out and test the limits of her power. That's why he sent that fucking orderly in there to die, pretty much, when he tuned down the white pyramid. Mm-hmm. And then, like, he's got all that anatomy book shit that's, like, got, like, his perverted drawings and shit in it. And I'm pretty sure that's why he had her to get killed, was because she found that. But you find out that Barry isn't exactly the most well-adjusted man in the world, because he's barely human at this point. I think that black goop really fucked him up, because he goes home. Like, there's a first scene where he goes home and he's like, you could assume it's his girlfriend or caretaker or something.
The Rosemary lady.
Rosemary, and their interaction is very awkward.
Yeah,
like you can tell there's
too.
like a weird tension there. So then later on in the movie, it gets paid off when he comes home, when he decides he's had enough, I guess, or when she disappears, or I don't remember if this is after she already escapes the facility or not. But he goes home, and like it's just him in like the shower, and he like takes his fucking hair off, and he takes like his eyebrows off, and like he takes contacts out of his eyes and shit. And he looks like Maynard James Keenan from Tool. That's what he looks like, and that's all I could think about for the last like 30 minutes of the movie, is that he looks just like Maynard James Keenan from Tool. But he's like in his room, and he's like a little fucking edgelord. He pulls out this like case from under the bed, and there's this Devil May Cry ass weapon in there that he calls the Devil's Teardrop. And he's thinking about. He's like about to fuck this thing. Like, he's so like in love with it.
That's what I thought he wanted to do to everything.
He just wants to, because he's not normal anymore. Like, he went into that goop, and he's a fucking different person now. He's not even a person anymore. He lost his humanity in there. Whatever the fuck happened to him in there, he basically lost everything that makes him a well-adjusted man. So
what if that's the thing? Like, this is his trauma, not really Elena's.
Yeah, and that's what he's trying to figure out, why she's normal and he's not. You know what I mean? Because he's so fixated on her, and he's like pushing her to her. He's like almost trying to get her to crack as bad as he has, but it never happens. So, then Rosemary's like, "Hey, you took off your appliances. I've never seen you like this before. You never let me see you like this, And it's a very weird scene. that has like this really like disgusting sexual energy to it that I don't like. It made me uncomfortable because again, you're like, what's gonna happen? And he just like crushes her head or something. He kills her for whatever reason, and then he like, and then it like cuts to him driving, and then you like have these two dudes that are just like that are just hanging out. It's like this fat dude and this other skinny dude. They're both like stoners, and the skinny dude's just an asshole to the fat dude for like no fucking reason. Like no reason. The fat dude's talking about how like he thinks this girl wants to fuck him or something, and the skinny guy's like, "Oh yeah, your dreams, Tubby, you fucking pig." Like he's just an asshole for no reason. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So then he goes to piss. And then old fucking Maynard shows up and kills him out of nowhere. Like, it's really weird. It's a really weird, like, very sharp left turn. And it's very bizarre. And if this is, and I was talking to Kale about it, if this is supposed to be an homage to, like, the movies of a bygone 80s era, I feel like this is, like, his homage to, like, slasher movies. Because you got, like, the two dumb dudes, and they're talking about how they want to fuck somebody or something. They're listening to, like, heavy metal or whatever, and they're just, like, dudes hanging out, drinking beer, you know, in the middle of this cornfield, I guess, for no reason. Whatever the fuck they're up to. And so he kills that first one, and then he goes to the fat dude, and he, like, starts asking him if he fucked Elena, and it's, like, really weird. And the dude's like, no, I didn't do anything. And he's like, no, you fucked her. He like licks him, and he's like, I can taste her. I know you fucked her. And it's just so bizarre. Yeah. And then he fucking kills him too. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Where did this come from? What is happening? So then he finds Elena asleep in like the field or whatever, and she wakes up, and he's like, come to me, come to me, like trying to beckon her towards him, and his foot gets caught on something, and he just trips and bashes his head against a rock and dies. He's very anticlimactic. What I like to think happened is that she used her powers to kind of keep him stuck, because like you can see like the plants move a little bit. Mm-hmm. So my interpretation is that like she just like sticks him, and then he trips and dies, and then she kind of laughs to herself, and then she walks into. And like, the laugh is ambiguous now that I'm thinking about it, because you don't know if she's laughing because she's relieved that she killed him and she doesn't have to worry about it anymore, or she's laughing because now she's killed somebody and she likes it. And then like it ends with a very ominous shot of her walking into a neighborhood, and that's it. That's the movie. And now you have to wonder, like, okay, is it going to be like fucking that telepathic bitch from The Boys in season 1 that like
just popping heads.
That just popping people, you know? Like, is it gonna be like that now? Like, is she like, what's gonna happen, you know? And so I guess that's pretty much my summary of it. I don't really know like what else to say about it outside of it's just very much a visual aesthetic movie. It's all about visuals and aesthetics and like that dread that it makes you feel, and it makes you feel trapped and shit. And I think it's a very interesting movie. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. Now I have the Wikipedia page pulled up here because I wanted to read some of the like other themes that like people have written on here. But you know, it's just, I don't know, man. Like one of the more striking images too is like there are these like bodyguards throughout the facility that are like really like gangly.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And tall. And there's a part where like Elena comes across one of them when she gets out of an elevator, and he like takes his mask off, and it's just like a kid, but like a kid that's been fucking fried, like his brains have been fried. Very weird. It's a very weird thing. And, like, what the fuck are those? You know, were those experiments, too? Like, were those people that went into the black pit, too, and
probably
they came out changed, you know? But that's something that's cool about it, is that it doesn't explain any of it. And you kind of like a kid in a candy store trying to figure out, like, okay, what the fuck is this? Mm-hmm. Like, what does any of this mean? And you may not figure it out, and maybe that's the point. Or maybe you think whatever personal interpretation you have, is I think what he's going for, because I'm sure he knows what it means. I'm sure he has his own personal interpretation to it. But you know, and I'm curious to see what I would be curious to know what it is, but I don't think he's ever going to tell us.
Well,
Just like
yeah.
David Lynch, it's like, because it's not, when you see it, it's your movie. When I make it, it's my movie. When you see it, it's your movie, And yeah, I thought it was pretty great. but again, it was weird because when I first watched it, I didn't know how I felt. But like in talking about it now and everything, I think I can say that I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't know if I'd want to rewatch it again just because it's so like demanding,
Yeah.
like mentally, but it's still a very like well-made, like scary in a very like weird way kind of movie. So I would definitely classify it as a horror film.
You know what it reminded me of?
What do it remind you of?
Some of, the dude who made Salad Fingers.
Yeah.
Some of his videos.
Oh, really?
Like-
I don't think I ever watched any of the other ones outside of like the Salad
Like he has
Fingers
one
stuff.
called Crooked Rot that is just like basically this movie.
Really?
It's just weird shit flashing throughout the entire scene. There's weird background noise going on, little creaky weird doll things.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And I think it's also interesting too to say that like the fact that this was born out of like how the cover art made him feel of like those movies that he couldn't rent. The fact that he took that and then made this is like so cool to me. And then, in turn we see it and we're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And it's about how it made us feel. And it's about, and that's what I love about art is that it's just like it's like a hand-me-down thing, where like everybody gets to experience it differently. And yeah, it's fucking wild. I don't know. I think you should watch it if you want to. I think it's a movie that everybody should try to watch at least.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not for everyone
Yeah.
because there's no like real like narrative to it. It has a plot, but it's not narrative driven. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way to describe it. It's very strange. But anyway, so I'm on the Wikipedia page now because I wanted to go through a lot of this stuff real quick. Yeah, I already talked about all of that stuff. Oh no, George P. Cosmatos didn't do Rambo 3. He did Rambo First Blood Part 2. So I was wrong about that. So his dad died in 2005, and his mother died in 1997 after a battle with cancer. And after that, Panos drifted into a slow-motion mode of self-destruction and binge drinking. And then when George Cosmatos died, the grief he felt compounded. After that, the aspiring writer-director started therapy and decided he wanted to make a film as part of the healing process. Cosmatos felt that his filmmaking sensibility is a weird hybrid of both of them, his father's popcorn movies and his mother's haunting experimental art. So this was also an exercise in grief, which is interesting as well.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, I tell a lot of my friends if they go through something, especially if they're artistically inclined, I'll tell them like now's your time to make something out of this. That's part of healing is using this grief, whether it's from a breakup or like somebody passing away or something, use that to make something that means something to you, not to anybody else but to you. And that feels like, and that's what Panos did. And that's really cool.
Yeah.
That kind of recontextualizes the film too in certain aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting. So Ava Allen, who plays the main female lead, found an acting agent right away after graduating from, I guess, the college she went to. That's a weird thing to have under. That's weird. All right. So apparently, this movie was financed from DVD residuals from Tombstone. so that's kind of crazy. And the film was shot in 3 weeks using a modified Panavision 35mm camera. This was suggested by the cinematographer Norm Lee because he noted that Panos' references, films from the 70s and 80s, were all grainy, colorful, and full of texture. And he felt the 35mm format was the only way to shoot. And that is another thing, too. This film is very layered, like, visually. I know I've mentioned that a little bit at least. It's very colorful, and the colors are very, like, saturated, and, like, they're very... It's very, like, what's the word? They kind of pop sometimes. And then, there's that layer of grain that kind of adds, like, this really ethereal element to it. There is a lot of texture to it. It is very cool. So, the influences. The visuals. Beyond the Black Rainbow has been praised for its visual style, which is something I think we both agree with
Yep.
for sure. Cosmatos declared that his modernist use of color was influenced by Michael Mann's Manhunter, which I can see, and The Keep. The blue hue cinematography, the night mode, as Cosmatos dubbed it, was inspired by the freezer room scene in John Carpenter's Dark Star. Obviously, there's a Carpenter influence there somewhere. And then Norm Lee cited other references such as Daft Punk's Electroma, Dario Argento's Suspiria, and George Lucas's THX 1138. So again, like a lot of stuff that's either from the 70s or inspired by that, you know? A number of reviewers noted similarities between the film and a 2001: A Space Odyssey and A Clockwork Orange, which I can kind of see. But according to Cosmatos, didn't really have anything that was not his intent to like rip off a Stanley Kubrick. So they've also compared the movie. Critics have also compared the movie to like Solaris, which is a Tarkovsky film. Which you want to talk about slow moving? That's how Tarkovsky works too. All of his movies are very much like this, but it's not exactly the same. But they're all very slow moving and very deliberate, just like this. Also, Altered States is another movie, and then Gaspar Noé's Enter the Void, which I can definitely see. Enter the Void came out the same year as this, and Enter the Void is also kind of this really dreamy, fucking weird visual movie that I've only seen clips of, and I really want to watch it, and I haven't bought it on Blu-ray because I have enough movies I have to watch. Then you have the flashback section, which is just the high contrast black and white stuff. And Cosmatos said he went with this look, which was inspired by an experimental horror film from 1990 called Begotten. He wanted this look because he wanted the flashback to feel like a fading and decayed artifact, which I think is super fucking cool. Like, that's such a cool like thing to think of as a director, to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I want this to look like this is a flashback, and I want it to look like it's like fucking like been through it, you know? I think that's really fucking awesome. So the young Barry Niles acid trip in the segment of Beyond the Black Rainbow was inspired by the Battle of the Gods sequence from Jean-Luc Godard's Contempt, which I believe is a new wave, just a new wave film from the 60s. French people, huh? Cosmatos also takes influence from other visual media. He talks about how much he loves the Heavy Metal magazine, different French comics artists, and that him and the cinematographer both looked at abstract paintings, photographs, and architectural design books for inspiration. There's a lot of abstract visuals in the movie, too, especially during that bad acid trip. There's a lot of abstract stuff there, and, like, oh my god, the noise, the background noise of that scene is still in my head, dude.
Yeah, all the noise just kept getting me.
Like that's like, it sounds like a very distant scream, but, like, not really. It's so weird. Like, it's hard to explain without you just watching it, but, like, it fucks with you, man. So, pacing, one of the film's most notable characteristics is its deliberately slow, hypnotic pace. According to Cosmatos, the film belongs to what he dubbed the trance film subgenre, which I can 100% see, because the film does kind of put you in a trance. As Justin was talking about, like,
It's like also like watching the fucked up parts of Invader Zim.
yeah,
Because all the background noise kept making me think of the music and shit that goes on in
I
that.
know
when
what
it,
you're talking about.
Like, especially the first episode after Zim first builds his base.
Mm-hmm.
It does that close-up of that monkey, and you're like, what the fuck is the point of that?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, that he said, Cosmatos said that Apocalypse Now was a big influence, cinematography-wise, and then a couple of other films, foreign films. It looks like, one of them, well, maybe not, but, just other films. But Apocalypse Now is the most notable one, and then let me see. And then Cosmatos explained the rationale behind his screenwriting, which downplays the very concrete story at the heart of it in favor of an atmospheric approach. He said, and I quote, "I decided to just write as straightforward as possible, then let the visuals and the look of the film bloom around something that was pretty straightforward. At the end of the day, I decided to bring down the story elements to allow the visual and the story elements to come more into the foreground, to make it more dreamlike and less story-driven," which that's another thing I was going to say. The movie kind of feels very dreamlike, like a fever dream is what I said earlier. And
Yeah.
I'm going to stand by that. And the music, fucking love the music. Heavily influenced by stuff like Midnight Express and The Shining and stuff like that. And it's very synth-driven, and I like it a lot. Very cool stuff. Like, the soundtrack is one of my favorite things about the movie, probably my favorite thing about the movie outside of the visuals. So, the themes of the movie, one of the biggest themes is control, which I think is pretty obvious from, him fucking with the White Pyramid and stuff. Do you have a revelation?
It also made me feel like, is this what it's like if aliens abduct you?
Yo, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because the dude, especially when he takes all his appliances off, he looks like a fucking alien. Oh my god, we're having breakthroughs here. We're having some fucking break. This is a good movie to watch because we're having some breakthroughs. So, on the theme of control, director Cosmatos stated that he's interested in social control mechanisms, our own personal internal controls, and how religion affects our consciousness and society. These philosophical ideas are present in Beyond the Black Rainbow, a film focused on issues of repression and control of emotions. Cosmatos partially picked up these themes by reading the science fiction works of beat novelist William S. Burroughs, books by and large dealing with societal control. And according to Cosmatos, the rigid geometric world of the Arborea Institute, which is the name of the facility,
That's what it was.
Visually fits the movie's control theme, which, yeah, it's very brutalist. It's very, like, I guess oppressive is the right word. This is especially true for Dr. Niall's character, someone very knowledge trying to create a very controlled environment to give himself a feeling of power. Because, as you can probably gather from that fucking acid trip, I think he lost what little control of himself that he had.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he killed that lady doctor. The light triangle, responsible for dampening Elena's psychic powers, is another control symbol. The Institute's plethora of reflecting surfaces, the walls in the hallways, the giant piece of glass in the therapy room, the infinity-mirrored Sentionaut room, Margot's glasses. Might someone hint at this idea? To many ancient cultures, the mirror was a symbol of self-awareness, consciousness, and intelligence, but also a source of pride and vanity. The visual reference for Arborea Institute's interior design was THX 1138. That makes sense. The film's control leitmotif is shown in a subtler way by reflecting North America's political climate in the 1980s. Beyond the Black Rainbow has been called a Reagan-era fever dream. Its paranoid Cold War mood contains nods to the late U.S. president through a clip of an ominous televised speech by Ronald Reagan himself and former Panamanian general and convicted drug lord Manuel Noriega. Dr. Niall wears a Noriega jacket. So it's very subtle. The Central American dictator had direct involvement in the Iran-Contra scandal. Noriega's fight against the Sandinistas, Nicaragua's left-wing guerrillas, was backed up by the CIA and the Pentagon. The CIA funded Noriega's military campaign with profits from the illegal sale of arms to Iran. The CIA also turned a blind eye to Noriega's drug trafficking. And the guy that took the fall for all this, instead of Ronald Reagan, was Ollie North. That motherfucker. He took the fall for all of it because he didn't want Reagan to go down. Fuck Ronald Reagan. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I got a little heated here.
Oh, so speaking of government conspiracy bullshit, on a random side note, that little show that HBO Max had, White House Plumbers, was actually really good.
Oh, you liked it?
Yeah.
It's got Justin Theroux. I like Justin Theroux. He's hot.
Yeah, every actor in that was fucking good.
It's Justin Theroux and Woody Harrelson.
Woody
right?
Harrelson are the main two, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I need to watch it. Yeah, because I've heard good things about it, but I haven't.
It's only 5 episodes.
All right, I'll check it out for sure because I like Justin Theroux. I love him in The Leftovers, which The Leftovers is another show with a lot of weird shit that doesn't get explained, and I love it. Also, Carrie Coon's in The Leftovers, and I love Carrie Coon. She's amazing. I love her so much.
Like
she's
I don't
great.
even know what
she's
made
great
me
in
want
that
to
show.
watch that.
What?
White House Plumbers. Like I
You
just
just
kept
saw
seeing
it?
the trailer and I was like, huh. And then I liked it.
I'll check it
It
out.
was
I'll check
good.
it out for sure. But yeah, so that's a more subtle theme of control there because it was about an authoritarian regime trying to control a revolution, which kind of mirrors Elena trying to escape from her very oppressive box that she's in, So identity is another theme in the movie. Over the course of the movie, Dr. Nile experiences a radical change of personality whose roots lie in the terrifying drug experience he had in 1966. Under Mercurio Arboria's supervision, being exposed to his shadow side, which apparently the shadow side is like, I guess, who you really are. I don't know. I only did light reading on that subject. Being exposed to that part of himself so intensely crippled not only his mind but his body, Barry is forced to use appliances such as a wig and contact lenses. And similar to many Lovecraftian protagonists, Barry Nile is ultimately a pathetic character. His far-reaching knowledge, restrained demeanor, and carefully controlled work environment are unable to dominate the forces of irrationality and chaos burning in his mind. That's fucking sick, dude. In the end, the Doctor undergoes a physical and psychological transformation where he forfeits all control and gives in to madness, which is fucking cool. This makes me want to watch the movie again now with all of this going into it. So another thing is the criticism of baby boomers of the 1960s and the conservative backlash of the 1980s, which is also kind of the Reagan stuff. So Cosmatos admittedly does not like baby boomer spiritual ideas. For him, the boomers' search for alternative belief systems made them dabble in the dark side of occultism, which in turn corrupted their quest for spiritual enlightenment. The use of psychedelic drugs for mind expansion purposes is also explored, although Cosmatos' take on it is dark and disturbing, a brand of psychedelia that stands in direct opposition to the Flower Child Magic Mushroom Peace Trip. So again, that flashback takes place in the 60s, so it's like an inversion, and even like the cinematography of that flashback is an inversion of that whole hippie era where it's all about peace and love, man.
Yeah.
It's the exact fucking opposite of that. That is 100% accurate. That a reviewer wrote that. It doesn't say who. Way to cite your sources, Wikipedia. UGO Network's Jordan Hoffman noted both elements, stating in his review that in the movie, some up-to-no-good New Age scientists have let their experiments with consciousness-altering drugs mutate a young woman. In this case, Elena. Cosmatos explains why Dr. Arboria's mission to create a superior human ultimately failed, which, is probably what he was going for. That would explain why all the Sentionauts, which are the bodyguards, are like so fucked up, is because they're just failed experiments. So, to quote Cosmatos, I look at Arboria as kind of naive. He had the best of intentions of wanting to expand human consciousness, but I think his ego got in the way of that, and ultimately it turned into a poisonous, destructive thing. Because Arboria is trying to control consciousness and control the mind, or because of that, there is a moment of truth in the film where the whole thing starts to disintegrate because it stops being about their humanity and becomes about an unattainable goal. That is the Black Rainbow, trying to achieve some kind of unattainable state that is ultimately probably destructive.
It's like Tony making fucking Ultron.
Yeah, and that's a theme that you can see in a bunch of different things. But yeah, but this is like a really trippy version of that. But yeah, that is true. I forgot about that. So, German film critic Hauck Lehmann, C.H. Newell writing at Father, Son, Holy Gore, and Mike Lucier of Flood Magazine, summarized Cosmatos' message with both Beyond the Black Rainbow and his next film, Mandy, as that the progressive social, political, and cultural utopias of the 1960s, as represented by Dr. Arboria and his original plans with his institute, went wrong because they weren't prepared yet for what lay beyond Aldous Huxley and Timothy Leary's Doors of Perception, thus inviting the counter-movement in the form of the conservative right-wing 1980s, represented by Barry. Likewise, Simon Abrams and Stephen Boone of Hollywood Reporter also note Cosmatos' harsh criticisms of the American conservative right of the 1980s. For this reason, Lemon, in his aforementioned cinema essay, calls Beyond the Black Rainbow an even more advanced version of the social and political themes found in Easy Rider and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So basically what he's getting at is that all these fucking hippies basically fried their brains, and they were like, wow, none of that made me feel better. So then they just like got mad at everything around them, and they voted for Ronald Reagan because of it. And that's how we get everything bad that's happening now. But that's interesting to me, because like that is exactly what happens to Barry. He's looking for enlightenment, and all he finds is this really fucked up shit that he wasn't ready for because he didn't prep himself. Okay, side note, kids, don't do this. I cannot recommend that you ever take LSD. Do not take LSD. I have to say that you cannot take LSD. But
Don't.
But
But.
if you by some chance find yourself under the influence of LSD, if it's your first time, I would recommend doing it with somebody that is sober,
that you
can be there,
trust.
that you trust as well, that can be there for you in case things go bad. The other thing is also, if it's your first time, prep yourself accordingly. If you have any depressive thoughts, if you have any like weird ideas about yourself or anything like that, don't do it. What I did before I found myself under the influence of LSD is I listened to music that makes me feel calm. And you know what's funny is LSD actually helped a lot with my depression, but that's besides the point. Psychedelics in general could do that. But that's not the case for everybody, though. I have to stress, just because it worked with me does not mean it's going to work with you. But I would recommend, listening to a song that calms you, because you want to be calm. You want to be calm before you do something like this, because it does heighten everything. It heightens everything that you're feeling in your head. It heightens your visuals. It heightens your sound. It heightens everything. So the last thing you want is to have like a bad day at work where you have all this negative energy, because that negative energy is going to be heightened like a motherfucker. So that's what I would recommend. If you've been around the block a few times, you already know. But if you want to avoid a bad trip, especially if it's your first time, have somebody sober that you trust near you that can talk to you.
Yeah, don't do what I did.
Yeah, don't be Justin. Look at this fucking guy. Don't be him, all right?
Me looked up that video, Crooked Rot.
Ah, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ.
Made other people who were doing this for the first time watch it.
Oh my God.
Didn't go well.
Justin. All right, but legally I have to say don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
But if you do, but don't. I cannot recommend that you do. That is my 2 cents on that, because you're gonna end up like Barry, and it's not gonna be good for you.
That or someone's just gonna lace it with something and kill you.
Yeah, that too. Be careful. As in the immortal words of who's the guy that did the Randy Newman? Is that the guy that did the songs in Toy Story? That his name?
I don't know.
You got a friend? That guy.
I don't know his name.
And Randy Newman? Whatever the fuck his name is. In the immortal words of that guy, it's a jungle out there, all right? Anyway, R.I.P. Monk. I love Monk. It's a great show. Anyway, so now we get to the reception of the film. So Cosmatos noted that the critical reception of the film was originally kind of muted, even downright negative at first, but it began picking up better reviews after Tribeca. After the Tribeca Film Festival in 2011, which I guess, it just depends on the audience, because this movie is very much not for a general audience at all. If this movie came out, like if there was a screening of this movie in our hometown here, I'm pretty sure they would just burn the theater down. So the film has an approval rating of 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, based on 36 reviews and an average score of 6.3 out of 10. Negative reviews focus generally on the surreal inscrutability of the plot and accusations of shallow pastiche. That's a lot of big words. Tony Norman, that's a lot of big words for people that don't have big enough brains to understand what the movie's going for. Tony Norman of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette called it all ambience and no substance. And Joe Newmayer, whatever the fuck your name is, of the New York Daily News, called it a boring failure. Mark Feeney of the Boston Globe cited the atmosphere that's impressively sustained until it becomes oppressive, then pointless, then laughable. All right, buddy, with the concept better suited to a short film. Now, I will say it would definitely be more digestible if it was shorter. But the fact that it goes on for so long, I think, is the point.
When I watched it, I felt like time was slow, but I paused the movie to go to the bathroom. I was like, "Oh my god, it's already been 20 minutes."
That's how I felt, because I paused around 40 minutes and I was like, "Oh my god, it's been 40 minutes already?"
You just get sucked into it.
You get sucked into it, yeah. You gotta let yourself get taken in by movies like this. You can't be if you're resistant in any way to that type of visual media, you're not gonna enjoy it. You have to let it kind of wash over you. Kind of like an acid trip. You have to let it wash over you. You can't, if you try to resist it, you're going to have a bad time. Okay. Some mixed reviews, like William Goss of MSN, praised the film's surreal atmosphere and synth score, despite finding it not my cup of crazy. See, that's the correct response. Just say it's not for me, but here's some positives that I found. Because you should be able, as a human consuming art, I personally think you should be able to find something good in the shittiest things. Like, we don't like a lot of music, but like at the same time, we'll tell you, but hey, if you get a chance to see a band live for free that you don't like, go anyway, because it might still be fun live, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't really like Volbeat, but I'll still tap my foot to it every now and then if it's playing around me, because I don't hate it. It's just not something I'd go out of my way to listen to, you know what I mean? So like, you know, that's the correct response, I feel, for anybody that's consuming artwork, is to not be like, wow, this is just fucking shit, Justin. Oh, this is fucking shitty. Ooh. Yeah, don't be like that, all right? Be like, well, I don't like it. It's not my thing. I'm glad you like it. But also, I mean, there's a couple things that are cool, but it's just not my thing overall. Like how we reacted to the Slipknot's new album. How we were like, well, it's not, you know, our favorite thing in the world, but there's some cool elements to it that we like. It's not something I'm going to listen to as much as their other stuff, but like, you know, it's
my
it's
initial
fine.
thought process when I heard it first is like, this is not the Slipknot album I wanted, but I feel like it was the one I needed right now.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a very fair assessment. That's not how I felt, but that's a very fair assessment. I just kind of felt like, man, there's some cool stuff here, but like, I don't know, it's just not clicking the way I want it to. But it was still, I mean, I still liked it, but you know, I just didn't like it as much as like
it's like everyone
rest of
hating
it.
on Avenged Sevenfold's album right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are not
Like-
liking it. I still haven't listened to it. I need to, but you know, you should find good in everything. Is my point. You should be able to find good in everything. Otherwise, you're kind of closing yourself off.
Like Josh trying to force Devin Townsend down our throats constantly.
Yeah, and us saying it's not our thing, man. It doesn't matter what
Like,
you
we,
show
we
me.
don't deny he has talent, but
It's just not for
just
me.
not
I
the-
don't like his production style. I don't like how he mixes his music. It's not for me. I'm
And
glad it's
Meshuggah.
for you. I'm glad it's for you. I'm glad you find enjoyment out of it. Obviously, they have an audience, but I'm not part of it, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. It's like when somebody says they don't like Tool, I'm not like, wow, you're just closed-minded, bro. I'm like, oh, that's fine. I get that it's not for everybody. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But, like, you know, that's fine. It's not gonna. I don't know them personally. It's not gonna ruin my fucking day if you don't like them. Anyway, off of that soapbox. So while Marjorie Baumgarten
Baumgarten.
of the Austin Chronicle cited the movie as inexplicable and incomprehensive, though praising the visuals, Jeanette Katsolis of the New York Times also gave a mixed review, highlighting the appeal to fans of midnight movies. This 100% in the 70s would have fucking killed on the midnight movie circuit just like Eraserhead did. 100 fucking % would have killed, dude. Oh my god. Luminik of the New York Post called it the movie equivalent of gazing at a lava lamp for nearly 2 hours. Gazing at a lava lamp while under the influence of some kind of drug, I should stress. Positive reviews highlighted the cult appeal, such as Matt Singer of Time Out, who welcomed the return of challenging, surreal midnight movies, a la Eraserhead. Allison Wilmore of the AV Club rated it B+, praising its style and daring form. Don R. Lewis, notice how all these people have normal names. I need to stress that. Notice how all these people have normal names. Of Film Threat also praised the film, saying, as a cinema fan, I was blown away at the control and attention to detail Cosmatos showed. During the second half of the 2010s, however, Beyond the Black Rainbow has undergone a critical reappraisal. While the film originally started out with a score of 49% on Rotten Tomatoes in 2012 and 2013, it progressively climbed to 61%, especially after the wider, more prominent release of Mandy in 2018. Writing for Inverse, damn, it was 8 fucking years between those two movies? Holy shit. Writing for Inverse in 2017, pop culture critic Isaac Feldberg praised Beyond the Black Rainbow as an examination of Cosmatos' own nostalgia for the sci-fi and horror movies of his youth. Cosmatos imagines an alternate 80s in which their aesthetics can be so completely expressed they assume physical form, seeping through the Arborea Institute like a fog of cultural memory. That's pretty. He wrote, The film has garnered spots on various best of. I don't care about any of that actually. In 2016, in a 2016 interview with the Hollywood Reporter about their smash hit Netflix series, Matt Duffer expressed surprise at allegations that Stranger Things was a direct homage to Beyond the Black Rainbow, which he claimed to have never seen before, while Ross Duffer admitted to having seen a little of it. Really? You sure about that? You sure about that? I don't know, man. I don't think... I guess in the sense that it's 80s, but like...
That's what I kept seeing too when I was looking at reviews. A lot
None
of
of
people
the-
comparing it to Stranger Things.
None
I'm
of the
like,
visual makeup of Beyond the Black Rainbow is in Stranger Things. Stranger Things plays out more like a creature feature.
Yeah.
That is... What the fuck? That's... I guess maybe the Upside Down, but like even then
not,
it's
not
like...
even. That's just like...
But even then it's like, what? You sure about that? I don't know. Anyway.
I like the shortest 1-star review I read. It just said, another pretentious art house piece of shit that thinks it's doing something wide and deep when it's just really fucking boring.
See-
What a waste of my money.
See, now that's someone that doesn't have an open mind. We're gonna find out at the end of this episode that Justin's the one that wrote that review. But no, you gotta, again, to watch something like this, you gotta have an open mind. And again, if stuff like this isn't for you, it's not for you. But like, I think it's unfair to like, I guess just strike it down and put it under a pretentious catch-all, you know? It's like we talked about a couple episodes ago. Expand your palette, man. Watch movies that challenge you. Watch movies that you wouldn't normally watch. You know, if you really want to get into it anyway. If like movies are something you love, I would challenge you to watch something like this 100%.
Yeah.
Like if you tell me that you like movies, I think it's important to watch every kind of movie, and this is definitely one of those kind.
Like, just give it like 10, 15 minutes.
And if it's not working for you, it's not working for you. So it's whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. You know? But, you know, I think that's about all we have to say about Beyond the Black Rainbow. I mean,
Yeah, because it's really just something you got to experience for yourself.
100%. It's very much one of those types of movies, and I mean I'm glad to own it now. Blu-ray looked really good. The sound was it's gonna haunt me forever. But it was still a very interesting film, and I'm glad I finally got around to watching it. But now I want to talk a little bit about how much I miss E3, because now we get this
E3.
fucking piecemeal ass fucking
Showcase.
showcase shit. That's not the same, man. I remember. I'm gonna get nostalgic here for a minute. I remember being a kid, no school. It's the first week of June, no school, and you know E3's coming,
Yeah.
and you know you're just excited to see what everybody's gonna roll out. You know, now I hope they show a new Zelda. I hope they show a new Metroid. What's Xbox gonna do? Is there gonna be a new Halo? Is there gonna be a new Gears of War? You know, oh fuck Sony, who cares? At that time, at least that's how I felt. But now, I mean, you know. I guess we get kind of like a pseudo E3 with Sony had a showcase, Microsoft had their showcase yesterday, Ubisoft had theirs today. You know, cool, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't hit the same, and that might be just because we're adults now and we have responsibilities. But it doesn't hit the same. As far as everything being shown, Justin and I think I can speak for both of us when we say we're very excited for Mortal Kombat 1.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out in September. Cannot fucking wait.
Yep.
It's so close. That's crazy, man. And he kept it secret for so long. I'm very excited for Mortal Kombat 1. Outside of that, I'm excited for Spider-Man 2. I'm excited for Alan Wake 2. The expansion for Cyberpunk looks pretty cool. On the Xbox side, there wasn't really a lot. I don't think that even Justin was excited about, huh?
Nah.
I mean, Starfield, I don't like Bethesda, so it's
Yeah,
not for me.
It just looked like Space Skyrim to me, and I'm like, nah.
it's not for me. I don't like Obsidian's writing, or not Obsidian. I like Obsidian's writing. That's why I like the Outer Worlds so much. But I don't really like Bethesda's writing, especially after Fallout 4. I don't know, man. Their games aren't for me. I don't like them. Like if you're gonna sell me an RPG, I don't want it to be restricted in any way or restrictive in any way. And I didn't really. I mean, the gunplay was fun in Fallout 4, but like I didn't really like the RPG stuff. But you know, it's not for me. Fable, I don't think the only Fable game I played was the first one, and I haven't really cared about the series since. And that's mainly because I didn't have a 360 when Fable 2 came out. But I didn't really get into those.
I remember Josh playing Fable 2 a lot. I just thought it was dumb.
Yeah,
Because I remember at one point he was digging in the ground for something and he dug up a condom. And I'm like, what the fuck is this game? Like,
it's always had a sense of humor. I can tell you that. Fable has always had a sense of humor like that.
I just didn't like the combat and the look of it.
Yeah, the combat's weird. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty all right.
And then he played Fable 3 for a little bit and said it was garbage.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like Fable 3. A lot of people didn't like Fable 3. So, apparently, yeah, it's just a bad game. But what else did Xbox show off? I mean, nothing from the studios I cared about, like id Tech, Tango, Machine Games, Arcane. Nothing from them. Nothing that I would have cared about from them.
The only thing that piqued my interest was Hellblade.
Yeah, Hellblade looks cool. Hellblade looks really cool. I forgot about that, even though we just talked about it. The Star Wars open world game looks cool. But I hate that they keep putting in characters that look like Kyle Katarn that aren't Kyle Katarn. And this fucking guy in the trailer is wearing the exact same outfit that Kyle Katarn wears in Jedi Outcast, but it's not him. It's just some fucking white dude with a beard. Oh, you fucking give me Kyle back. I miss Kyle. I miss Kyle Katarn. I loved him as a kid. He's my boy. Bring him back.
I just
Please.
want a Star Wars game that's not afraid to like fully display the world and like not censor it. Like the closest we've gotten to that was The Force Unleashed 2 and then nothing after that.
What do you mean, not censor it?
Like you play Fallen Order and all that and you expect to be like gritty and down to it and cutting shit up.
Not violent, yeah, okay.
But
I see
it's
what
like,
you're saying.
Why are you restricting it to like the light side
It's
and all
because
this?
it's Disney,
like,
bro. It's
give
literally because it's Disney in that case.
I believe that.
Like
but,
Disney
like,
told Stig Asmussen, like, you can't do dismemberment.
just give us the dark side, like.
So, and it's funny because Stig Asmussen did God of War 3. So, like, he directed one of the most violent games I've ever fucking played in my life. And I love God of War 3. But he directed that game. And, like, so he could go super ham on Fallen Order and Survivor was the new one, right?
Survivor.
Yeah, he could have gone ham on those two, but
Like, I mean, they gave you, you cut off their forearm and their below their knee, but that's it. Like, you're more brutal to the animals than you are to people.
yeah, right. That's kind of weird. I don't know, man. I don't know. And then, like I said, Ubisoft had their thing today. I don't really care though. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sony's got the games that I'm excited for, I guess, most. With Spider-Man 2 is the really big one, and that might be it.
I'm just a gamer stuck on certain games.
Yeah, like Diablo 4 right now.
And Warcraft.
Fucking Warcraft.
And still
Look at
playing
you.
Destiny.
Look at you. Look at you. Look at yourself. All right, look at yourself. We haven't played Gears 5 in a long time.
I started playing Halo again.
Which one?
Infinite.
Infinite. Ew. If it was MCC, I'd be down. I don't really want to play Infinite again if I can help it.
It's playable.
I know, but
with the adjustments they've made, it's fun, and the Forge maps that are there. Like, mostly we were just doing like custom games and like being dumb with that stuff. I almost said that word again.
Justin almost said a no word again. But, I heard it too.
But no, the Forge maps in there are really fucking cool.
That's cool. I don't know. Maybe I think I still have it installed. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
But I mean, I've been playing MCC too because I've been trying to teach my girlfriend to play. So I made her go through all the Halo campaigns.
Oh yeah.
We're on 3 right now.
That's too bad. The worst one? No, not even the worst.
The worst one? No. What are you talking about?
I don't even know which one's my least favorite. It might be 3
5.
actually. Oh yeah, I forgot about 5. I haven't played 5, so I don't know. Yeah, I never played 5. I didn't have an Xbox One. I had a PS4.
The only thing that I pissed me off about playing 5 on Legendary was the stupid AI partners. Like, having to revive them and having to wait for them to revive you.
A tale as old as time, waiting on AI partners in video games.
Like, at least in Gears, you could just die immediately.
You can just be like, fuck you, dude, and then you just kill yourself. I don't want to fucking deal with you. Piece of shit. Or you just crawl
Yeah,
up to a
but
locust.
I'm disappointed no Gear 6 information has come out yet either. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing.
everything's trying to be like some try-hardy open world game now.
Yeah.
Like they're just pandering to one side of the audience.
That's the meta. The meta is open world gaming. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm excited for Metal Gear Solid Snake Eaters remake. I guess I don't know.
Metal Gear Delta.
Metal Gear Solid Delta. Ooh.
Everyone's like, why is it a triangle? The triangle has 3 sides.
Hey, how many sides does a triangle have, bud? Yeah, you get it now? Stupid. But no, it's Silent Hill 2 will hopefully be fun. I don't know. We're replaying through Metal Gear right now. We just finished Twin Snakes, which is a game.
And I saw someone that said that like Capcom made a poll saying what game you want remastered next.
Dino Crisis.
Yeah, I'd rather have something different than Resident
Remake
Evil.
Dino Crisis, for fuck's sake. Oh my god. Is the Capcom show today?
I don't know if it's today or not.
I feel like I know Capcom's having a showcase soon. Hold on, let me. I'm gonna Google this. Capcom.
I don't care what Resident Evil fans say. Code Veronica is just.
Just give me fucking.
I'd rather have 5 remade over that one,
Uh,
or even the Outbreak game since that was 4-player co-op.
3 p.m. PD. Wait, hold on. Wait, yeah, June 12th. Today's June 12th, right? Oh shit! It just started. It's going on now. Actually, it's going on now. Let me see. What do we?
Street Fighter 6 is one of the ugliest games I've seen in a while.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
It looks terrible.
Well, let me see.
And again, I miss fighting games that are fast-paced. Like, why does everything feel like every motion is a brick in your arm? Like,
listen, man, you're just a hater, bro.
I'm not a hater. It was just like I played MK11 again because I got an itch from watching gameplay, and I'm like,
yeah, you would.
My God, this game is so fucking bad. Like, I'm just gonna download MKX again.
Yeah, I liked 11, but I don't like the fucking gear shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's all we got for today, I think. I don't know.
Before we just keep going about complaining about stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening. Check out Beyond the Black Rainbow. Check out Mandy as well. Mandy's very good. We're gonna cover that at some point. And next week we're gonna look at Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yay!
That'll be fun. Can't wait.
Fun.
So subscribe to us on YouTube, on Apple, whatever the fuck, Spotify, wherever you listen to us.
Everywhere.
Follow Justin on Facebook through the Gore Goblins page. He's been trying his hardest to pick up engagement. God bless him. But yeah, so thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.